All right, good evening and welcome to tonight's Yukon City Council Yukon Municipal Authority work session. It's August 2nd, 2022 at 6:30. Council chambers here at 12 South 5th Street in the great city of Yukon, Oklahoma. Tonight's study session, we have two items. The first of which is a discussion of Wilshire Boulevard, and I'll turn that over to our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to talk to everyone and let them know where we are and what the status is on Wilshire Boulevard. We had spoke and met with Oklahoma City to see if we could keep the annexation, keep the land and the street easement in the city of Yukon. We told them that our budget was already complete, but we would not be able to pay any of the money back for reconstructing the road, which would be in our city limits until budget year 23-24. They came back after we had met. They came back a couple weeks later and said that they could not do that. They could not loan the money to us and it not be paid back within the same budget year. So we talked to some residents. We came up with a plan that we thought, honestly, we didn't think that they would go for it, Oklahoma City, but evidently they want to get that road repaved pretty bad because they have agreed to what our requests were. And those requests were that we would only de-annex the width of the actual paved portion of the roadway. It would be the same width from the center line of the section road. The second item is that we would de-annex from 11th Street east to Sarah Road. Now that does not include anything that is west of 11th Street. That stays within the city limits. Just from 11th Street east to Sarah Road, which is where our city limit line is. We will have to have an interlocal agreement with Oklahoma City because in the agreement we volunteered and we will take care of snow removal. So we will have to have an interlocal agreement with Oklahoma City, but I see no problem in that. We also, in that interlocal agreement, we need to talk about mowing because we have taken care of the easement on the mowing. Excuse me. We want to make sure that police and fire would be responding to any issues that would happen on the travel portion of the road. We might have to do an interlocal agreement with them as well.
So it'd be our Yukon Police and Fire?
Yes, ma'am. We would not be working the accident for reports, just for emergency purposes. We will need to include that curb cuts would be controlled by the city of Yukon. We cannot do anything about the county property taxes. That has to stay within the county. And since there are no city property taxes, that won't affect anything. Just the county, and the county will have to stay within the county that it's in. Oklahoma City wants to make sure that we agree to de-annex that portion from 11th Street to Sarah Road before they will spend the money on a center line survey for the road because it is very costly. So we will have to have an item on, I don't know if we have enough time to prepare the agreements for the next agenda on the 16th, but I wanted to let you know where we are on that. I would like to hear input from any residents that are here and so that the council knows how everybody feels about this. But I think that this is the best deal that we can get, and for them to redo the road and us not have to pay for it because we don't have the money budgeted for it, and for them to agree to all of this, I think is pretty great.
I think it's pretty good negotiations. Do we have some visitors that would like to speak?
I'm Jody Pendleton, 13460 West Wilshire Boulevard, Yukon. I feel like you guys did a wonderful job in negotiating with Oklahoma City. Speaking for us, we feel like it was the best that we could come up with. I like that it's just east of 11th Street because you guys have already repaired before that, so you're not giving up the money that was already spent from Yukon. It keeps most everyone happy. Just the residents that are on further down Wilshire, I'm not speaking on their behalf, I'm speaking just on our behalf because I haven't been able to talk to any of them about this, but I feel like that it being just the width of the paved road, once the survey's done, if it's not, you know, crazy wide, just, I mean, that's obvious, you could go measure it yourself what it is. But it seems more than fair, and as long as we have the police response, the snow removal, the curb cut was a huge thing. Any kind of easements that go through there, as long as that's worded in the agreement, and the length of the interlocal agreement, as long as it's permanent, and where that just can't come back and be changed and say, oh, since we own the land, we're gonna change it, so if that's added in to the wording of it, that it can't be rescinded by Oklahoma City or anything like that, I think that Mr. Hort and Tammy did a wonderful job, and I hope everybody thinks that they did as good a job as we do. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or concerns or comments?
So what about the maintenance that they've agreed, is that gonna be in there, that they agreed to maintain the road?
We can make sure that that's in the agreement.
I think that's important.
Good point. Anybody else?
No, just to echo what's been, I mean, sounds like a great deal and good work. I mean, that's hard work, but we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, if there's no other discussion on that, let's move on to the discussion of water usage. And I think Arnold Adams, Public Works Director, is going to lead us in this uplifting topic.
Good evening, everyone. Well, if we get the presentation up. Tammy asked me to put a short presentation together. Let me get this way a little bit. On kind of the drought conditions and where we're at in the drought as we stand. So if we look at this map, this shows from the 1900s, the green being wet years, the brown being drought years. And so if you believe in history, if you look over to the right, we have been in historically high wet years for approximately 8 to 10 years. So we're starting down now. If you could see that in the graph, we would be starting in these drought numbers. So my point is, I think we need to look at this chart and be prepared for maybe 5 to 8 years of drought years. And this is just a chart that Todd read that. What this map is shows the consecutive days with no more than a quarter inch of rainfall. And if you'll see Canadian County, if that was up to date, would be 54 days. So I think we'll all understand we are in a desperate situation. So we had asked to put the last 4 months water usage. That's what this is, from March to June. When I put this together, we have the July numbers now, but they're not on here. And so if you'll see, the bottom number is the wells that we produce, the middle is Oklahoma City, the top number is the combined. And I apologize, these are supposed to be color-coded, but they're pretty hard to see.
What's typical? Like, what was it last year compared to this?
I have some more charts as we go on, it'll show. Really, everything's pretty consistent over the past 6 or 8 years. It's starting to go up a small percentage. But I have some more slides later on that I think will. And that's just the chart. There's the numbers there. And so the Oklahoma City and Yukon blend, we use approximately 55% Oklahoma City water to 45% of our well water. So then we've been asked over the past 5 years for the top 5 months, the months we use the most. So that's what this was in 2017. So if you'll notice, for those 5 months, we used 386 million. And I'll kind of just go through these. This is 2018, we used 363,000. 2019, 409,000, or 409 million, excuse me. 2020, 439 million, almost 440 million. And then in 2021, 444 million. So that's an increase of about 11, 12% over the past 5 years. So this chart here shows since 2010, and I found this kind of, I was going to just go 10 years, but I seen this and I thought this is pretty interesting, that in 2011, we used 1.4 billion gallons of water.
It's a drastic drop, yeah.
So that's when the wet years started, but I think more than that, and Tammy and I discussed this a couple days ago, when we were in that drought for 6 or 8 years, whatever that was, preceding that, I think everybody did a great job getting everybody to understand that we are in a drought. The yard of the week, at that time, nobody cared about the yard of the week. I notice now the yard of the week is starting to rear its head back up. I really don't like yard of the week. But anyway, I think that's kind of where we are now, is the numbers are starting to creep back up, as you can see, but I think just a little bit of education and hopefully we get a little bit of break from this drought. So there's the graph. Like in 2010, 1.2 billion. And there again, back in 2010, we probably had closer to a 50-50 blend with well water to Oklahoma City. So what this is, Oklahoma City is in stage 1 water restrictions. We mirror what they do because we purchase water from them. I spoke with Oklahoma City. There is no indications to move to stage 2, and that's kind of the breakdown of what those stages are.
You know, I think we need to educate our city more about that odd and even. I see that all the time, and they're not following it. Some people have their sprinklers on every day. Also educate them, and a place of business that I know has a leak in their water, and I've told them for 3 months now, if you'd fix that, your water bill would go down. Plus, you'd quit wasting our city water. I don't think people realize all the different ways of conserving water, and that we need to do a good job of educating people.
But as you can see, before they would go to stage 2, the combined lake capacities need to be 50% or less. And I kind of have some charts that'll show. And this is just different references to stage 1. We probably don't have time to go through these but we can if you guys would like. Anybody wants me to slow down, I can. So this is just some of the local lakes and what their capacities are over the past 5 or 6 months. Well, actually back to July of 21. Actually, the lake capacities are historically high levels. Just like the aquifers, the Garber Wellington, they're historically high levels. But if we continue on in this drought, it's going to affect it. But we are in historically high, we're in good shape. That's what Oklahoma City said. We're not even talking about it because we're in. So there's kind of the numbers. Like Canton is 94%. So it's down 6% what it was in June of this year. And so here is a map of the state. And I think the only 2 lakes that that are even in trouble is Stanley Draper, as we all know. Oklahoma City takes water from Stanley Draper, but they put it back in out of the token in Sardis. And then, of course, Lake Lugert down in Alpes, it's dry, down 24 feet, or I don't remember what the number is, but it's really low, really sad shape. And so with that, I will close out unless there's any other questions. One other thing I would like to add is, and I probably should have made a chart and I failed, but we are capable of producing 7 million gallons a day. The largest days that we've had in the past 5 years is 5.05 million. Two of those days occurred last week. So we are capable of producing up to almost 2 million more gallons per day, what we are right now. Now, that would be running everything at its capacity, and I don't believe we want to do that, but that's equivalent to building about 2,500 new homes. So we have, that doesn't include any commercial industry, but we are capable of producing 7 million.
Any questions, concerns? Thank you for putting that together. I'd like a copy, an email of it. Could you
Okay.
email it to all of
Sure.
us, just because I'm a numbers
Sure, we can just
person, I
get
like
them.
to look at that
Okay.
stuff. All right, thank you. All right, that is it for our study session. We'll recess until 7 o'clock.